Breakfast. Yeah, breakfast consisted of fruits and nuts and some soaked rye, which they had a little flake machine, hand operated. Everything there was by hand, like they built their own house by hand. But oh, except the chainsaw, they had a chainsaw, but I don't think they had it before. Anyway, during evenings after work, we would cook, and Arla loved to cook, and she made the most beautiful dinners with everything from the garden, like lots of potatoes. But I do love potatoes. The only thing that we bought was rice, oil, and some spices sometimes, but that was it. Like unless there was something out of the ordinary, like soy milk, which they had sometimes for chai. And yeah, they were practically vegan. Uh, we made our own apple cider vinegar and uh, yeah, apple cider vinegar and apple cider, and it was like totally different from anything I've had before. Like we bottled so many jars of different fruits and made chutneys and relishes and just preservations of different kinds and drying fruits um, as well. Digging potatoes and putting it in the root cellar, and they had no internet there, and it was they had a uh, yeah, and they had a 12-volt battery system in the house, so all the electricity was from 12 volts um, for the lights. But they had an inverter for running the laundry, but it was just for that one big machine. That was the only like big machine they had. Like all other machines were they didn't have that. Like no TV or they had a they had one or two laptops I think, but it's just in a corner somewhere. Not yeah, not like only used sometimes. Uh, they had no fridge or no freezer or anything like that. Like just yeah, I'll show you. um, no fridge, no freezer. Everything was either cooked or eaten that day or stored in the cool cabinet, which was connected to the outside and worked like the fridge but passive, or stored in the root cellar. Alani played and sang the ukulele during evenings, and Arlide either painted or knitted hats or some other creative task. I painted a little bit as well and sorted some nuts, and she taught me how to make a basket from corn. And Sila sometimes uh, came home late from either the Krishnas or some bike adventures. He loves to go on his bike or like yeah, visiting different neighbors and just talking to people. He was so social. He was being so social and so funny as well sometimes or most times actually. Shiloh, yeah, Shiloh wasn't present during my 2 months there. Almost only the first week and a half, I think, and then he left, like I said, to Auckland or to a farm called Embassy of Peace, where they studied holy books and scriptures a lot and tried to show that spirituality and science was the same thing and to bridge the gap basically. But when he was there in Natimoti, I remember he would stay up at late sometimes and talk. He was usually the one like communicating with the new guests there and talking to them and so on. And everyone else would go to bed basically. But I'll yeah, I'll tell you like how I felt. Like it was like indescribable. Like I've never. Let's see. Yeah, I already told you that. I guess. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I already told you about Arla. Like why my reason of feeling so hesitant or uneasy. Like because she yeah she was the she was very beautiful. Like the most beautiful woman I've seen. Like in all ways. Like sure, she had her. Mm, I like we all not problems, but like I don't know how to say, but her purity was one I hadn't met before. Like she was so strong, wise, and healthy, and yeah, it was hard not to fall in love with her, but or at least my mind did, but not my heart. That was the thing, and neither did hers. Like, and we knew that, or I knew that. So, but my head couldn't sometimes let her go, and yeah, and yeah, that's that's what I mean. But anything like in the farm, everything in the farm was yeah, it was amazing. But it was very subtle as well. But I told you that as well. Mm, mm, yeah, I remember I didn't even. Yeah, let's see. I'll jump here. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can tell you that my visit there to Narimori, that was like going into the future, living 20 years of my life in complete paradise compressed into 2 months. That's how it felt like being there. It was, oh, holy cow, it was much. It was a lot. And my head didn't work because, I chopped it off. It was good. I could only act from my heart, pretty much. I couldn't really learn anything. Like like thinking back or thinking how I'm doing things now. Of course, I learned and remember maybe all of the things that I learned. I wrote here that I didn't really learn anything new or you could say or unnecessary. Like of course I learned new things, but it couldn't be from the mind. Like it had to be from the heart, like a genuine wish or desire. Like and they are living like the way I would like to live, and it was amazing for them. And I hope they will go like into step two into the process, like from what I feel is like they continue to live on the land and then they continue the land in the family, like that Arla and Silas will want to stay there and have their kids and expand, like, or just continue work on the farm, and not that the kids will move off and buy a new property somewhere and that's it. Like, okay, what happens to that farm? Like, no, I would like it so it, you perfect it somehow, like, or you just perfect it, like make it better and better all the time. Like the next generation will, yeah, just come up with new things or yeah. Uh, And in my mind, I would also like to do it, but I would also be very happy of spending my time and creating a beautiful paradise of my own together with my spouse and children, manifesting a space of love here with my family. Like of all the farms I've been to and my experiences, this was by far the best and most painful. They lived fully off the grid and supplied vegan meals to themselves and sold produce on Koha to whomever wanted it. And the amount of produce they pulled off, uh, the yeah, the core and the unity of everything and beauty was just nowhere to be found. Like everything I learned or seen before uh, had to be challenged. Uh, there was nothing I could give there. Like there was nothing I could say there. Like I could just be here and be silenced because they had been there for like 30 plus years and developed such intricate system and routine, and it was working better and more beautiful than any other place. Even though some things were completely against what I have seen and read from other places, such as mulch, like they didn't mulch their veggies, like, and they had irrigation. It was from like, it was gravity fed, and the soil was fed from compost, and this seemed to work the best from them. And I couldn't say anything because if you are there, if you're there, you can feel 30 years of development, and the results speak for themselves. Like, so just be quiet and watch. So yeah, it was like that. Like I had, I had, like there wasn't like I there wasn't anything I could say. You know, they they didn't, what do you call it, the hoe, like they hoed the fields. They didn't mulch. They irrigated, they watered, and they weeded as well. But it was working so much better than anything else. Like so why should I come there who has like no experience and say something like, why didn't you do that like this? Uh, they had obviously tried different methods. I did um, um, ask them, and but they had really developed it into really fine system, and it was working. It was really working. So yeah, after I spent 2 months there in Narimodi, my time to fly back home to Australia was getting close, but I still wanted to meet Shiloh one more time. And once a year, he flies up north to help this special place to establish itself. And they have a yearly meeting, like a vision meeting, where they help the planet. And he wasn't back from that trip, so they said that if I wanted to go back, or if I wanted to see him before I go, I better go up there because I don't, I don't think he's coming back anytime soon. And so I did that. I flew up to Auckland, to Coromandel, to Embassy of Peace, and to me this was like a weird feeling, but also a release. It was like I was stepping out from pain level into this uncomfort level, and it was just, and it was like it was a breeze. It was like almost comfortable, like, oh man, uncomfort level, yeah, great, that's awesome. It was weird. But yeah, I remember going up there by minibus for like 4 hours from Auckland, or I think it was a change as well. But I got dropped in the middle of the road in front of a dirt road in Coromandel, and it was a bit early, I think. It was a couple of kilometers walk, and I got in this big bag, or some things from me from Narimori, so carrying like this heavy backpack as well with fruits and other things to give to Shiloh. But I started to walk a bit, and after a while, I took a rest, and Shiloh then came with a car, and I remember I said welcome because I felt like I wanted to say welcome, and he laughed, and he also said welcome.